Hey sketchy friends, so I am back from Spain. I was teaching a week-long travel sketching vacation workshop with some awesome people. We had so much fun. Yeah, it was just the trip of a lifetime. It was amazing. So we started in Barcelona, we took in the Sant Jordi festival, and then we went down to, or over to the Costa Brava, and we saw some amazing stuff there, including Dali's house, which was really cool. After that, I spent a couple more days in Barcelona, and then I traveled down to Seville and spent some time with my friends, did some more sketching, and even hooked up with Urban Sketches Seville and got to meet my hero in Barcelona. So that was really exciting. But anyway, I just want to share with you guys today my sketchbooks from the trip, and hang around until the end of the video where I'll just show you the, I think, quite minimalist sketching kit that I took with me, if that's something that interests you. So let's get into it. Very quickly, guys, this video is sponsored by Pretty Sketchy TV. Now, that actually is my very own platform with on-demand videos on every aspect of urban and travel sketching that you can think of. I'm adding videos all the time as well. So here are some featured videos just to kind of give you an idea. This is just the landing page, little video there of me explaining it. You get a free trial. These are some of the categories, but there are so many more. And there's some different membership options as well. So monthly, 6 monthly, and then the insane value of the annual membership as well. And you get a direct line to me if you want me to make any videos on something specific, if you need any feedback, that kind of thing. Let me just show you inside very quickly. So this is what your library looks like. So I've actually got Margaret teaching. She's a prominent South African watercolor artist and an urban sketcher. So I've done a couple of videos with Margaret recently. Perspective, playing with line, white space, sketch with freedom, sketchbook spreads, house portrait. It just goes on and on and on. There's just so many different videos to take in, and I'm just adding all the time. So it's got Netflix style usability. It's really nice to use. And I'm just really excited about it. So please do check it out, prettysketchy.tv. The link is in the description below, and you do get a free trial. Okay, so first off, my trip did not go to plan in terms of the arrival. I did get caught up in the storms in Dubai. I was lucky I didn't get stuck there for days like some poor other people. Unfortunately though, after I eventually did get to Barcelona, after many hours of delays, my suitcase did not arrive, and it did not arrive for another 8 or 9 days after I arrived. So this sketchbook is a Stillman & Byrne Nova sketchbook, and this was the one that I had done some prep and some demos to take with me for the teaching. Unfortunately, because it's a big heavy sketchbook, I was like, well, there's no need to have it in my hand luggage. So I put it in my suitcase. So unfortunately, this book did not arrive until after the sketching workshop was done and stuff like that. So yeah, but my lovely students were very understanding, and I'm making them a PDF guide with all of these sketch demos in for them. It was fine because then we just did them live instead. So the first thing I had to do was go and purchase a new sketchbook from an art shop in Barcelona. What a hardship going to find a art shop. So I ended up doing a few of the things that I'd already planned with them anyway. And we did some demos, things about your viewpoint and composition, quick sketching some geese, sense of depth and things like that. This was on the first day. We did like a really awesome, just off the cuff, paint first, draw on top thing inspired by a street artist that was in front of the building at the time. So that was our very first thing we did, and everyone really enjoyed it so much. We talked about things like, drawing buildings with white gel pen on top and color of water, quick palm trees, that kind of thing. Another point where we're at the hospital, very overwhelming place. So just drawing things in boxes and focusing in on details rather than drawing the entire building. Yeah, it was just a very complicated place to be. So this is a very easy way just to still be able to sketch things. interior views and that kind of thing, a bit of collage and drawing on top. So this really was my sort of demo sketchbook. I'll get to some of those other ones in a bit because that was later in the trip. But my favourite way, some of you will know, of documenting a trip is using an accordion sketchbook. So one that kind of folds out in a continuous line like this. Really, really great way to capture a trip. This is a bit more travel journal-y, not so much on the urban sketching front. And I say that because not everything was done or finished on location just because of time constraints. So this particular sketchbook on this trip, I consider it more of a travel journal, but that's fine, you know, it's just semantics really, but I just wanted to point that out. This sketchbook was made by my friend Bernard, and it's his 100th book. So I'm very honoured to have got number 100. And he used Fabriano studio paper in this book, 25% cotton, 300 GSM, cold pressed natural white. So it's a nice paper. It's good for this kind of thing, I guess. Probably not my favourite paper in the world, but yeah, it did the job anyway. So this was waiting in Johannesburg airport. I was quite a few hours delayed, but my plane did go, so I was lucky in that regard. Let me see here. This was on the first plane, so that was fun. And then this was waiting in Dubai airport. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning. Let me just focus a bit better there. 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, you know, I should really be drawing even though I'm so tired and my plane was so delayed. So I actually drew these people on location, but I did paint them later. I was just too tired to get my paints out and stuff. This was a map of Barcelona that I copied from a leaflet that was in my hotel. This is Casa Batlló, the dragon house. So I did actually sit across the street on the pavement. I tried to shield myself next to like some kind of metro box or something to try and not get trampled on, which I almost did. People were either looking what I was doing or they were almost trampling on me. So at this point I was just sat on the pavement. I didn't have a stool or anything. So, and I was meeting someone as well. So I just did this very quickly, but I think it came out all right. And then this was in the first lunch that we had as a group at a lovely restaurant called El Tros. Just some quick little sketches, you know, you don't have to do too much. There was some bread, chili, some meats, the logo from the wine that we were drinking. This was an idea from Judith, who usually runs the Sketching Spain trips, is just putting your finger in your wine and dabbing it on the page and making a note about it. This was a phrase we were taught in Spanish. Cheers and strength to your bag, I think it means. Again, another place we went to, the oldest bookstore in Barcelona, which also has a little tapas bar, a little painting of some olives. So very, very simple, you know, it doesn't have to be great big scenes or buildings all the time, you know. This is lovely ways to remember. And we ate so much lovely food and drank so much wine on this trip, you know, it had to be recorded. So some garlic shrimps at another place, Zona de Ombra. It was San Jordi the next day, I think. So there was lots of roses around, a little note about something that happened in regards to being given roses. One of the geese at the cathedral, a couple of the people on my trip, Gary and Jackie, quick sketches of them. And sticking business cards in as well as I went. So from the bookstore, this is from the cathedral. This was this was on day 2, our first location. It was raining, but we found this beautiful little courtyard and it was absolutely perfect for what I wanted to demonstrate. This one I just drew and I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to leave it. I'm not going to paint it. And I think keeping it blank like that, unpainted, really contrasts nicely with the scenes either side of it. The one thing with accordion books I think is really fun is to just try and get over the fold, even if it's just a little bit of the scene, because then it really makes it look continuous. If you make a hard stop every time at the fold, it kind of looks a bit odd and it doesn't really flow. So that would be a big tip for using one of these books. This was down at the ocean, very, very stormy day. The weather was really rolling in, so I did some quick demos there, but then, yeah, we had to move on because everyone was like, yeah, we should leave now. It looks like it's really going to storm, which it did. It rained really hard after that. This was the hospital I was talking about earlier when we did the exercise with the boxes, and just this entire place is just so overwhelming. So many beautiful buildings all around you. Yeah, it's quite something. Spectacular, actually, would be the word I would use. And then we went to, after Barcelona, we went to this little town called Alea, and we went and sat in a vermouth kind of old wine shop. We sat at these barrels sketching, and I did a close-up of a label. Specifically, this vermouth is specifically made by this shop in Alea. And then, just sticking some random things in. Got my little stamp there, the Sketching Spain sticker, some stickers from someone on the trip, from Lauren. And then we flip over and we go to the other side. And then this is the hotel that we stayed at in, I've got to say this right, Calella de no, why can I never say the name? Did I write it down? No, I didn't. Anyway, over in the Costa Brava, this is the restaurant that we stayed at, and this was some of the beautiful food we had: tuna tortilla, calamari. Again, just very, very simple sketches, but just capture the memory. Then we went to this beautiful ancient walled town the next day called Besalú, absolutely beautiful. And we went to an incredible restaurant, and the food was amazing. This was their view looking back over this 11th century stone bridge. Just absolutely spectacular. Really was a big highlight for me. This is Dali's house, another absolute highlight of the trip. Not many people go to Dali's house. I think they say about 60,000 tourists a year. Just because of how many people they can fit in and the timings and stuff like that. So I feel very honoured to have seen his house and heard lots of stories from our amazing guide, Andrew, about Dali. As we then drove to Cadaqués, which is about 15 minutes away, and we saw this Statue of Liberty with both arms up. And it actually, I think this is a replica, but it was actually done by Dali and gifted to the mayor of the town, I think. So that was really cool. I thought it was really funny. This was a scene, let me put this back down again. This was a scene from Cadaqués. So we sat on the beach and sketched. And then later that day, we had our farewell dinner. So this all sounds very short, but I'm keeping this fairly concise. So again, more amazing food, red wine, obviously. And then that was kind of the end of our sketching trip. So it was a week. I kind of went through that really quickly. And then I had an extra couple of days in Barcelona and met up with some friends who came over from the UK. So we went to Park Güell. That's how I understand it's pronounced now, Park Güell. The beautiful mosaic walls, of course, my favourite building, the gingerbread house. And I couldn't fit the tower on. I was like, oh God, I've drawn too big. So I did a lapin, and I just bent the tower around over the page. This is something that lapin does a lot. Also Tommy Kane as well. So I actually think that's really fun and fits with the funness of Gaudi's architecture, I think. And then the next day I took a train with my friend down to Sevilla. This is Plaza de España, an absolutely overwhelming place to draw again. I'm thinking about doing a demo on drawing something like this, so if that's something you guys would be interested in, do leave me a comment below so that I know whether I should do that, how you would go about drawing something like this. This is just a little close-up of one of the ornate things in front of one of the lampposts. I don't even know what you call this, but it was beautiful. The colours, the patterns. And then on the my friends went home. I had a couple of extra days in Sevilla, and I was staying my hotel. It wasn't really a hotel. It was actually a really crummy room in a shared apartment. It was not good, guys. Anyway, the room had a spectacular view of the mushrooms, the setas de Sevilla. So, and finally, I put in some portraits of the group because on our second to last night, we sat down and we did a portrait party. And this was really fun because what we did, and we've done this with Urban Sketches Johannesburg as well, is you get one person to pose for 5 minutes. So I put a 5-minute timer on my phone. One person poses, the rest of us draw them. And then we move on to the next person and the next person. And in that way, someone staying reasonably still, you've got a time limit, and you all kind of have a go at drawing each other. But we were sat in a circle, so some people got side profiles, some people were straight on, some people were successful. We decided that Jackie was very sketchogenic. Some people weren't so successful. Rochelle is beautiful, and I made her not beautiful there. Also, Andrew looks like he's been punched in the face. Yeah, quick portrait drawing, not my forte, but we laughed so much. And yeah, I guess we had a couple of bottles of Cava at the same time. So I'm really happy with this sketchbook. It's a really brilliant memory of such an amazing trip. I had just the best group in the world. We got on so well, and I've no doubt we're just all going to be friends for life, already making plans to go and see them. So I just wanted to show you a few other sketches. When I take one of these with me, I always like to take a second sketchbook because I feel like this is very chronological and it's very kind of concise, you know, but I also want to do sketches where I can just feel free to like mess around a bit more. So I do always take another sketchbook with me. So this sketch, for example, I was just sat having a beer with my two best friends, looking out over the river. So not a particularly pretty scene or whatever, but I really enjoy just drawing whatever's in front of me. And, you know, I do try and still adhere to things like the rules of thirds, and, you know, having some things in the foreground and the midground and the background, that kind of thing. Even though it's a very sort of plain scene, it's still fun to capture. We went into the old town, and this was just a storefront. Again, we were sat at a table drinking and eating, so I was just sketching whatever was in front of me, but I really liked this, and I love things like air conditioning units and lamps and lots of cables, and I love all that stuff. I think it just brings the scene to life. And this was a very ornate lamppost in front of the cathedral because, again, we were sat drinking and eating. But yeah, at that point, the cathedral felt very overwhelming to draw. So I just drew the fancy lamppost in front of it, which is fine. Guess what? We were sat at a restaurant eating and drinking on another day. And again, this was my view. We were up on a rooftop and this was the view out. So that was quite fun. This was the view from our rooftop of our apartment. But unfortunately, I ran out of time. So this is as far as I got with that. And then more sketching at the Plaza de España. I think I filmed some of this, so yeah, I will include it in a demo if that's something people are interested in, and just a bit of a focus in on one of the ceramic tiles on one of these walls here. Also the thumbnail of what I was going to do. It's nice using a big A4 sketchbook like this because you've got room to... I think this is, you know, a nice sketchbook page in terms of like, I'm not precious to just do my thumbnail there. I can do a scene, I can focus in on something. There's just lots of space to do lots of things. This is one of my favourite sketches from the trip, and when Inma Serrano saw it, I said to her this is her influence. Just lots of crazy colours, and well, she's a big fan of yellow and using like indigo and stuff like that. And then right at the end, I decided to put in some of this pink with these crayons that I actually bought whilst I was in Spain. These kind of watercolour, water-soluble crayons. They were really cheap, like, oh, it doesn't say on that. They were like €9 or something. So, and I've seen people use them, I think including Inma. So yeah, so I thought, oh, I just added some pinks in, and I think it really brought the whole thing to life. It was really fun. So this is definitely one of my favourite sketches of the mushrooms of Seville from the trip. And then I got to meet up with Urban Sketches Seville, which was amazing. And Inma Serrano was leading it, and it was almost like a workshop. So she prepared this handout about sketching people, and she sent us off to do the various exercises, and we would meet back and do some throwdowns. So people sketching, not my forte, but I do love it and I would like to get better at it. But some of these I was a big fan of. And I really love Inma's style of drawing people. She's definitely a big influence to me. So I definitely was kind of maybe imitating her style somewhat, but I really enjoyed it. I really like, you know, fun, caricature-y kind of drawings of people. I'm not really more like a realistic kind of person. But yeah, it was really fun and just so great. I was made to feel so welcome. Got the little stamp there. Got to hold the banner in the photograph at the end with the group. So yeah, it was just really It just shows that the Urban Sketchers movement is such a global thing, and wherever you go in the world you can meet up with a group of urban sketchers and just feel like you're with old friends, and even if there is a language barrier, it doesn't matter. So it was just really beautiful. Well, let me very quickly, for those of you interested, show you what I took with me on my trip. So sketchbook wise, we've covered it. So this was the accordion sketchbook that my friend made for me. This is a Hahnemuller watercolor book, not the cotton one, just the normal 200-gram one, I think it is, A4 size, but that was bought as an emergency replacement for this Stillman & Byrne Beta. First time I've ever bought the hardback ring-bound one, and I just got it because of the large size, just to be able to kind of demonstrate things easily to my students. But it is a very, very heavy book, hence me not carrying it in my hand luggage and putting it in my suitcase, which was my mistake. So maybe not the best to travel with, just because it is very, very heavy. But yeah, something I probably will use again for my next demo. There's the cat, she's dying to get in here. And let's just have a look at what I took. So this is a sketching pouch that my friend made for me, which I absolutely love and I use all the time, every day. It's just my favorite thing. This is a new situation for me. I bought this plastic palette and I filled it with Rosa watercolors, which are also a new situation for me. I really like the mixing space, and it's really nice using the watercolors from the tubes. They do feel a bit juicier. However, I'm not sure if I'm a fan of this bigger format, especially sketching in confined spaces like on an aeroplane or something like that, getting this whole big thing out. It's very light, but it's just quite big. So I'd probably be tempted to go back to just my normal tin of watercolors, which would fit. This was made to fit my little tin, my metal tin, but this also fits in as well, so it's not so bad. And then this little slot is to put in an A5 size sketchbook, so my accordion went in there quite nicely. Then I've got these little slots for various pens and things. So my faves, my Faber-Castell Pit Artist pens, all 6 of them, 3 warm, 3 cold. I didn't use them a great deal, actually, I must admit. I'm sort of weaning myself off them a little bit, but I do like to use them. I've come back full circle to this white gel pen, which is the Uniball Signo. This one seems to be working quite nicely for me at the moment. I also have a Posca, quite a fine Posca marker, which works intermittently and can be quite frustrating. But when it works, it's really nice. The Pentel Pocket Brush, which is a black brush pen, which is refillable. A 0.6 and a 0.1 fine liner. I'm not really fussed on brands, but I just happen to have these uni pen ones. I didn't take a fountain pen with me. I didn't fancy it on the aeroplane, so I didn't bother. I did randomly take these 3 watercolor pencils with me. Not something I massively do, but I thought, oh, maybe they'll come in handy. And I think a couple of them did, but yeah, I just don't know, just felt like taking them with me. Not something I normally carry. In terms of brushes, I have 4. So I have this flat brush, a 1/2-inch brush. Didn't really use it, to be honest with you, but I thought let me take it with me. Can be very handy for ocean and straight horizons. I think that's why I took it with me. This water brush, I used it all the time. It is so convenient, so that you don't have to get a pot of water out, especially sketching on an airplane, on a train, on the move. Really, really enjoy it. Don't get me wrong, it's not as great as using an actual brush, but it does the job. This is the Escoda Reserva number 10, so it's my big round brush. And this is the Rosemary & Co. dagger brush. These 2 brushes are everything I need to do everything. Love them. They're the only 2 brushes I have that I carry around all the time. Mechanical pencil. And yeah, I think that's it. Oh, okay. Kneadable eraser. Spray bottle just to wet the paints. I always carry this stuff with me, always. Faber-Castell collapsible water cup thing. It does extend out. I'm just doing this with one hand. Ugh. There we go. And I take this old flannel around with me as my paint rag, just so I don't have to use tissues all the time. I do actually need to wash this, but yeah. And I think that is it. So I really hope you guys enjoyed seeing my sketchbooks from Spain and hearing a little bit about the trip. It really was amazing. Let me see if I can do this. It really was amazing. I loved it so much, and it's probably likely that I'll be doing it again in 2025. So watch out on my newsletter. That's where I will be posting about it. I will also make sure I post about it on Instagram and YouTube, but do join my newsletter to be the first to hear about those things. It might not be a Barcelona itinerary, it might be a different itinerary. Let's see what happens, but keep a lookout. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.